We can watch we can watch Jupiter the Hybrid Returns. That one.
Jupiter the
No,
Hybrid,
not
also known as
the bottom one. Yeah.
Still do regret my actions.
So this might be the aftermath after he
24/7.
confessed or whatever.
Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy
I
Unstoppables.
better go
Try
to a
for under
bar real
$5.
fast.
I still do
Oh,
regret my
that.
actions. You guys need to back off.
Okay.
I'm doing okay. I just haven't had any time to post. Oh, and Anonymous, I dare you to try and hurt me. When you're not where I
Why
live.
would you do that? Why would you do
Well,
that?
I can't say I'm not surprised that Jupiter the Hybrid of all people has made his sudden return to the internet. Obviously, people like him can't learn to stay away. They see themselves as the victims, they see themselves as people who deserve to have an internet presence, and it was just ripped away from them by all these dastardly trolls. And is Jupiter's story anything like the rest? Well, yeah, he's just your run-of-the-mill predator on the internet, thinking that it's cool to do what he's doing, and now he's back. And I just hear the groans from all of y'all watching. This guy, he's the worst. To give you a little bit of backstory on Jupiter, this is a guy who was caught talking to minors while he was in his 20s online. He was trying to have relationships with these minors. He was doing a lot of creepy stuff, sending some of the most unsettling Snapchats I've ever seen. And what do you think his excuse was when he got caught with this? Well, guys, too much nicotine. He was high on the nicotine, and that made him do that.
So
Now,
fucking
as a
stupid.
smoker myself, again, I've said this before, I smoked plenty of cigarettes in my lifetime, never had any interest in doing what Jupiter does, and he's different though. I guess these cigs he was smoking just had a little bit of extra juice in them. He has threatened to
Extra
take the
juice.
lives of his adversaries, or basically just the people who call him
Extra
out for the stuff
juice.
he does online. He also has a pet pony who is, well, it's a My Little Pony, like a stuffed one, and he claims that that's like his wife and they have kids together. All of these things are talked about in my initial Jupiter video, and that'll be linked in the description below, along with Linda Binda's channel, because that's where all these clips you're about to see today come from. But to tell you the story of Jupiter's return, I have to walk it back a little bit, because just a few weeks ago, Linda uploaded a video that was an interview with Jupiter's sister. Now, listen, I could show this to you guys and your jaw would be on the floor. It's one of the most like kind of horrifying things you've ever heard. This girl just goes into detail about how much like just what was going on in Jupiter's house back in the day. I'll just tell you what right now, one thing that they said pretty early on is that Jupiter's older brother's in jail for, the same type of stuff Jupiter's into, and they even caught the older brother like at one
Uh-oh.
point tying Jupiter down to a chair to do some stuff. It's really, really weird, and it's in the description below if you want to go check that out. But I will say that you need a little bit of a warning. It's a stomach churning watch. Now, I'm not sure if that interview is a part of why Jupiter came back to the internet, maybe to try to clear his name, because the sister also goes into how Jupiter really tried to like just hurt her on so many occasions, just throwing stuff at her, hitting her head into the door and different things. Just a really messed up tale this girl tells. And like I said, that'll be down in the description below if you want to see that. But we're going to jump right into where Jupiter came back, because just a few days ago, Linda Binda uploaded a video where she had an interview with Jupiter. Now, it's pretty hard to hear Jupiter in this, and I know my channel already has enough audio issues as it is, so I'll try to give some subtitles wherever they're needed. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy watching Jupiter a few months after he declared to leave the internet forever. And I'm just telling y'all right now, like, he is not sorry for anything. It's clear that he just wants to come back, forget everything happened, and he thinks he has fans. Like, he thinks he has a following of people just waiting for him to come back, clamoring for the next awesome Jupiter video. When no, not in any
No.
way, shape, or form. People are just hoping you stay as
No.
far off the internet, as
Yeah.
far away from kids as possible. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get into it. And just for a second before we do that, let's see the rest of that video I started with, because Jupiter, he had a little bit more to say to people other than that he was coming back and he's being attacked by someone named Anonymous. I don't think it's the hacker group. I think it's someone calling themselves Anonymous, and Jupiter does not like that guy. And like I said, we'll hear about all this in due time.
You know
So
what? It
let's
would
see
be
what
wild,
the
and I know we
wild
can't
guy's
pause.
up to.
How wild would it
So
be if
yeah,
he was his
half the
own
stuff that I
attacker?
did.
You know what I mean?
What drove
He
me
was
to
in
do
on
it
what?
was nicotine and
What if it?
alcohol.
Oh my god, nicotine and alcohol. Here we go
That shit
again.
really messed me up, really
Oh
messed
my
up who
god.
I was.
Yeah, but what if
It
the
messed up who
anonymous person,
it
air
messed up the
quotes?
person I
Mm.
Because
was.
they don't
And
fucking care. The
to
actual
tell you all the
anonymous.
truth,
Yeah.
I may
Like,
be many
what
things,
if
but
the
a
anonymous
child
person is him attacking
I am
himself?
not.
Like
I was
he's
Oh
made
my
of
god.
myself.
creating the drama.
I've learned my lesson.
So again, he blames the
I,
cigarettes and
at
alcohol,
this
saying they
point,
changed him
I'd
as a
with
be
how this
mad.
person, but
I'd be
motherfucker is,
mad.
I mean, despite a lot of people drinking and smoking, Jupiter, I don't think they're all a bunch of creeps. I think that's just something that you're trying to push off on everybody else. He does say at the end there that he's made amends, he's coming back, and this is something all locals do. They run away for a little bit and say, oh, I repented in my own way, which is really just like hiding from the rest of the world, shielding themselves from any criticism by not letting it come to them at all. The locals choose to punish themselves, and the way they do that is just by shutting off the internet and having to just deal with that. Could you guys imagine not being able to post cringy videos on TikTok or YouTube all day? I would hate that. I would absolutely hate that. These guys have gone through so much, so they think it's cool to come back and everyone's going to forgive them, but Jupiter, when everyone knows what you've done in the past, how you've tried to talk to minors and try to brush it off, act like it's no big deal, and just, you've really given some pretty heavy threats to people too. People aren't just going to forgive and forget that. So let's see how this interview started with him and Linda Binda, because he'll probably just end up walking back everything he just said within like 2 or 3 minutes of being on the call.
Let's talk about what's going on.
I thought he found out that this was a dude.
Let's talk about what is happening in
I
general.
don't know how he doesn't know.
I guess you could say I'm a jack of all trades.
You're a jack of all trades?
Yep, I am.
What do you mean?
Well, for one, I've spent half my life repairing things that have been broken, along with my best friend CJ. CJ's good with his hands, me, I'm good with my legs. But I'm also very good with my hands as well, but that's...
Oh my god.
But anyway,
Wow.
Jesus
what happened on
Christ.
social media was a total
Just to let you know, Faye, he's good with
my content was never supposed to be like
Nasty. Disgusting.
that's not what my TikTok channel was for. And suddenly I became a bad guy. I became the villain. You know? I became the freaking villain.
Yeah.
I never wanted it to do this. I never wanted to come down to it. But suddenly you make one mistake on social media and everyone brands you a child predator or pervert or some other bullshit.
Yeah.
And see, Jupiter says that his content was never supposed to
Just
be what it was,
online.
and that's why he's got to come back to the internet.
Bro.
Because again, the guy thinks he had a following and that
Who
people
is
really want to
this
see him
guy?
do well and see what he can produce. And no, it's not the case at all.
Who is he trying
And
to
then,
be?
of course, he goes on to say that he just made one mistake online and all these people started branding him all these different things, not mentioning that the things that people were calling him out for were saying things like the age of consent should be lowered. That, among many other things that the guy has said online, I mean, it's obvious why people don't want him back online, but in his eyes, like all locals do, they think that there's this like giant subsect of people that are just clamoring for some new Jupiter. I mean, even in this dude's last official video to the internet from a few months back, he admitted that he was a predator. And now he's come back to the internet, he looks like a pirate, and I mean, what can you say about this dude? He
looks
really
like a
just wants
pirate.
to get back in there, get back in the content making scene, probably because he sees that so many people now have their eyes on him after seeing all the stuff he's done. And it never works out well for Jupiter, but I think in his mind, as long as he can clean up his image and get people to forget about everything that he's done, then it's going to be nothing but smooth sailing, and he's going to be the next big thing on TikTok.
So, what do you have to say to what do you think about people calling you like a child, you know the word?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He looks unhinged, bro.
I may be
He
many
is.
things, but a child predator, not one of them.
You asked me if I still loved you earlier, right?
Yes.
Do you still love me?
Oh, yeah. I mean, after everything I've been through, you were the only one who stuck by me.
For content, buddy. for content.
Do you understand how it hurt me when I found
Jesus.
out that you were doing bad things?
I understand it hurts, and I was trying so hard to keep things under wraps, but at the same time, I wasn't entirely sober at the time.
You weren't sober?
Yeah, I wasn't sober. I was mostly high on nicotine.
Oh my god.
Half the time. But now that I'm back to just this, I can finally start living my life.
Wow.
Jupiter doles out his iconic line that he's high on nicotine again, and obviously we go over this all the time, but it's also really funny to see him hold up a vape and act like that's him being sober compared to, smoking a cigarette. I know I compare and contrast different people that we cover on the channel a lot, but Jupiter always has struck me as someone like just as naive as Christian. Because, look at Jupiter. He's never even looked up if a cigarette can make you impaired or not. Let's look at it a little bit further here. He just told Linda Binda that he still loves them. And this is despite Linda Binda putting up all these videos on YouTube and right at the end of the video talking about how much they hate Jupiter and want to get him put in jail. And Jupiter will still sit here and go, yeah, you've had my back since day one. So he's not even watching the videos on him or anything. I think that he just sees that Linda Binda has videos on him up and they have a lot of views, and he probably just thinks, wow, a lot of views means a lot of support. People must love me. And that's why he thinks it's time to make a comeback. And they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, but I don't think that applies to being a predator and only waiting 4 months to come back after all your heinous acts. But I don't know. Next thing I know, people will just throwing money at Jupiter on a live stream. Shit, they're doing it to Christian right now.
I've been through a lot of hell lately.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
My power to make sure that kind of stuff never happens again. And if there are any officers watching us, any police officers from the MKD, I would like to amend my statement and say that I will do 100% make sure that none of that crap happens again.
So Jupiter just wants to reassure any possible police officer that is watching, which I know sounds like a joke, but actually it's probably more legit than you think, because at the very end of this video, Linda Binda gives an update saying that the police apparently have Jupiter's cell phone, laptop, and all these things, and they are investigating him, but apparently as of right now they won't do anything because all they have is Jupiter's words, which is a lot of times exactly what happens with these predators. They say all these things, but then afterwards delete all the evidence of it, and then it's probably tough to find it. Now, I'm no police officer, I don't know how this stuff works, but yeah, the fact that people like Jupiter, people like White Bowser, are really just out there saying all this stuff, and the cops can't do anything about it.
That's what I
is
said.
such
That was a wild name.
these people,
Yeah,
the fact that
that's
they talk about it so
another locale.
gleefully and only feel shame when they've been caught for it, these people, that they gladly would have kept doing what they were doing if they weren't caught doing it. And that's why it's good that people like Jupiter always have tons of eyes on them. They always have people that are going to make sure Jupiter doesn't do this stuff again. People like Linda Binda here, who constantly get Jupiter on these calls, and he feels free to just divulge all types of information about his life to this person. And then this person puts it on full display for all the world to see, and that holds Jupiter accountable for it. Now, again, he doesn't even know this is happening, but that's why people have such a dislike for him, and that's the part that he doesn't really understand. But nonetheless, people like Jupiter always come crawling back because they think they have some type of future on TikTok or wherever they happen to post on the internet, and Jupiter's no different. He'll probably do this for years to come, and that all depends on if he doesn't end up in jail or not.
Sure, I may have messed up. I've made my fair share of mistakes. But at least I'm still alive. At least I'm paying.
Are you mad that I'm still standing?
No, I didn't know that you had.
That sounds
Jupiter
just
style.
like someone else we know.
Only one. My brother.
And you said that whatever your sister said was true, right?
What he did to me was true.
Do you think that's maybe like damaged you?
Mentally, emotionally, yeah. My family isn't perfect. You know?
Yeah.
Nobody perfect. Nobody's family's perfect. Mine is broken.
So in that series of clips, Jupiter confirms that the thing that happened between him and his brother, with Jupiter being tied down to a chair, the thing his sister talked about in that interview, that it's true. And in my initial video I did on Jupiter, a lot of people in the comments talked about how this dude came from a house with like 10 brothers and sisters, and there was probably some sinister stuff going on in that house that made Jupiter the way he is today. And I think now this all but confirms it. I mean, Jupiter went through some terrible things in that house, and now it makes him think that everything he says and does was cool. I mean, you hear him, he still defends his family by saying, you know, oh, they weren't perfect, but nobody's family was perfect. He still has to throw in those like underlying defenses for these people, despite them doing some sickening stuff. And again, the brother who apparently did that to Jupiter is in jail now. Now, I don't know how long he's in jail for or even what he's in jail for, but after knowing what he's done to Jupiter and other family members in the house, I kind of don't want to know.
Why do you want to return to TikTok?
Well, after everything I've been through, you should know that I'm too stubborn to give up. I'm way too stubborn. It's a quality I share with my father and all my other brothers. I share a quality with them. We're stubborn. We're stubborn as can be.
Can you guess how I feel about you returning to TikTok?
Of course, you can tell me.
I don't know if it's the best idea for you right now, because there's a lot of people
Do he not know this a
on the
nigga?
app that, you know,
No.
don't want you there.
Yeah, I know. That's why I created several different accounts. So
I don't understand.
You know, I found out
Like the
a
guy
bunch
just
from
said, I
Eddie
don't know if you're
about
here for
how
that, if you want to pause.
when
He basically said that Jupiter's not paying attention to this person's channel at all, because he literally says he has videos of them saying how badly they hate him, like how much of like a problem this guy is, and that's why like everybody knows all the crap he's doing is because of this Linda Binda person. But yet he just doesn't view it. He doesn't see it, or just chooses to like act oblivious to it. It's fucking weird.
she was 13, you were 17. When she was 14, you were 18. When you were 15, when she was 15, you were 19. There's a 4 year age difference, and
I know that's her choice to walk away if she wants to.
I know, but that's not the point.
Why?
You were in a relationship with someone when you were 20 years old and she was 16.
I know. After everything that I've realized happened, before I realized it, things had gotten already out of hand. Before I realized it, everything I had was gone. All the people I had who loved me were gone.
Let me show you why I stopped paying for all my other sample libraries. This is Arcade by Output. This thing has sounds, samples,
Wow.
instruments, effects, everything.
I cared about gone. Like that.
I know. Also, she said that you like inappropriately touched her and you
Oh,
hurt her.
Fuck that. I did no such thing. And she fucking knows. I did no such thing.
What about what your sister said about you, almost strangling her to death?
That was a long time ago. I was a child. I was a kid.
You were 18.
whoa.
I was a child.
So Jupiter starts there by saying that he's returning to TikTok, and the reason he's returning is because he's just too stubborn. Even though everyone wants him to stay away, he's too stubborn, and it's a quality that he shares with all of his other brothers and also his father. Now, sadly, that's not the only quality all these creeps share, but it's just so weird because after knowing now what we know about the brother, after knowing what we know about the father from the interview with Jupiter's little sister, where she goes into detail and says that the
I'm
Father is
interested
even
in
told her
hearing that
before
one,
that
though. I'm
most
not gonna
men in
lie.
their family are
Yeah.
predators. Jupiter has a smile on his face when describing these people, and I get it, it's still his family, but if you really did know better, like you claim you do, Jupiter, you would understand that all these people are just absolute garbage that you should get away from, and that everyone should be away from because they should be locked in jail. One of the worst things Jupiter does there is that when Linda Binda brings up the fact that Jupiter was 20 years old in a relationship with a 16-year-old, the only thing he could say in response is, yeah, well, it's up to her to walk away. I guess she just wanted to, and that's why no one in my life loves me or cares about me anymore. He's trying to guilt trip people despite him actually talking to a minor. It's one of those things where he can't realize, hey, what I did was disgusting, what I did was messed up, and I should have to face consequences for my actions. But no, he just gives off this attitude of, oh, woe is me, I'm the poor victim here, and it just sucks that I did all these bad things and people are actually holding me accountable. They shouldn't be. I should be able to just move on from that. And that's the whiny kid attitude that Jupiter gives here. And I mean, even later on, when Linda Binda brings up that he had hurt his sister in the past and done all these things, that's exactly his excuse. I was a child. I was a kid. And even when Linda Binda brings up that he was 18 years old when a lot of this stuff happened, he still relies on the fact of, I was a child. I was a kid. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but when I was 18 years old, I wasn't trying to physically attack people and do all this stuff, you know? I wasn't living the life Jupiter was living. I don't think any of us were. And he says it here like it's a thing of the past, whereas in the last video we did on Jupiter from just a few months ago, he was threatening to just bury people in the desert right next to where he lived. Like, he's still a violent person, and all it takes is someone calling him out on his bullshit or doing something he doesn't like for him to get to the point where it seems like he wants to attack them. And this is all coming from someone who lived under the same roof as him. I can only imagine the types of ideas he has about the people going at him online.
How are all your powers doing?
Wow.
My powers that I have?
Yeah.
They're still intact. They're still intact.
Wow.
So I found out that
Unbelievable.
you're actually a vampire, werewolf, demon, dragon hybrid.
What?
They added shit now?
He leveled up?
Fuck.
He gained new traits? The fuck RPG he's playing?
Shit, this goddamn.
I'm here.
Okay. And so you only have Wi-Fi when you go to public Wi-Fi places?
Yeah, I have to go to public places to get free Wi-Fi. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to talk to people here.
Jupiter, do you... Here's something. Do you promise me, promise your mother, promise your father, promise everybody in the whole world that you will not ever talk to another minor?
Do what I did again?
Yes.
I promised that I wouldn't. And
See, he just admitted
And what's the
it,
consequence
bro.
if you do talk to another minor?
I already made my choice. That was a choice I made because I wasn't sober and I wasn't in control.
Have you ever wished you could play a video
still
game
blaming
your
it
own
on
way?
nicotine?
Where you can be invincible.
Yeah, it's all about the
unimaginably wealthy,
instead of like the
or even teleport.
alcohol, it's
Now
the
you can modify your
nicotine.
games easily and
Wow.
safely to have all that and
Oh
more.
my god, dude, this guy is
Now that I'm
great.
in full control, I can safely state that it
Man.
will never happen again.
Okay.
Never again will I let those things happen.
I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I do not trust this guy enough to just say he's not going to do this stuff again, when you know damn well, if given the chance, he will do this stuff again. But he's coming back to TikTok anyway, and we'll have to see what Jupiter tries to post now. Obviously, he said his content was never supposed to be that way, so I think we're all interested to see what Jupiter's initial idea for his content would have been, you know? The most startling thing that we heard in those last couple series of clips is that Jupiter is not just a hybrid between a vampire and a werewolf now. He was hiding a few sides of himself, and now, ladies and gentlemen, he is a vampire, werewolf, demon, dragon. Like, holy shit! Like, could you like this man merged together Ben 10, Twilight, and Dungeons and Dragons, and like he is just the
How
amalgamation
dare
of
you?
them,
Ben
but he's
10.
also a predator.
How
Fuck
dare
Ben
you
10.
bring that
But at
shit
the
in
same
here?
time, like, it's a pretty
Ben 10 Dungeons and Dragons and what else? What part of that was Ben 10?
No, because he's saying that he fucking He had like a vampire, werewolf, demon, dragon, hybrid, fucking all his powers.
Yeah, but how the fuck did that being count?
Well, he does have a werewolf, a demon, and a vampire. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Don't.
And Dungeons
Hey,
and
hey.
Dragons, and like he is just the
He's
amalgamation
powerful.
of that.
Damn it.
But he's also a predator, so like he sucks. But at the same time, like it's a pretty wild concept he has about himself. But we all know Jupiter's just some really out there guy who lives in Utah, or is it Wyoming? It's one of those
Idaho.
states.
God damn it.
That only a few people live in. That's where Jupiter is. It's Idaho. It's Idaho. I was wrong both two times. Just hit me there. But so yes, keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier in the video, Jupiter said that he has many new accounts now, so he can't be traced. And honestly, it's just another one of those things where, Jupiter, if you really were like apologizing for what you've done, you'd come back under your real name that everyone knows you as, and you would tell people, hey, yeah, I did this and I'm apologizing. But no, you want to just completely throw that away, get a new name that nobody's going to recognize you under, and then try to start anew from there. It's not how this stuff works, Corbin. It's really not. But it's going to be interesting to see what this guy does next, because Jupiter, just like all these other TikTok people, they'll come and they'll go, but once they see the numbers start to go up, they can't help themselves from coming back. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens. Let's just hope this guy does nothing weird. I know it's a really far cry to say that, because it's Jupiter at the end of the day, but let's just pray that maybe somehow, some way, this guy can somehow keep his head on a swivel. But you know, I know we're asking for too much. Again, I want to give a shout out to Linda Binda's channel. All these videos you watched here will be down in the description below.
I feel so bad for Linda Binda having to tolerate that shit.
These showed up about a week ago, and I didn't even know about them for a few days until you guys started shouting them out to me. But yeah, you can see this interview here, and also the interview with Jupiter's sister that we mentioned prior, that I really didn't want to show much of on this channel, because it's just, as I said, it's a tough watch. It really is. But if you want to go see it, it'll be linked in the description. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
I wonder how Jupiter set
Rest
them
of the
up.
whole year. You know, 2023 is ending soon. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I always try to give you a piece of advice.
That's all. I wonder how Jupiter set them up.
I want to know, like, I want to know where that interview's at. Like, maybe we can do it like at another one, like another podcast that we do. But like, I'm very curious of like to hear exactly what's going on in there. I mean, like, I know not everybody tells the 100% honest truth, but I mean, she would have front row seats to all the weird shit he's done.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see another point of view.
Besides, I mean, we gotta know about him before he levels up again and becomes a fucking Nightwing, Tomahawk, Dragon, fucking demon, vampire, werewolf, hybrid.
I don't know how he just leveled up out of nowhere. I thought he was just a vampire werewolf hybrid, but
You thought that the cops were keeping him down and him having no internet is like a negative thing? No, he was just
Tell you that was a real
building.
fish.
Ew.
What?
That's fucking
I was just Chubby. Did I tell you that was a real fish? I saw one though a long time ago.
Bro, that looks like someone's like.
That is a real fish.
It looks like someone's chubby on his face. Like a soft chub. It's so gross.